Okay, how you going, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Baking Geek. Today we're going to be making custard tarts. It's a very simple recipe. I've had some feedback from my earlier videos on muffins and stuff like that. I know I get overly complicated and I can do some flash patisserie work, but I like to just get everyone in the mood for baking. Okay, so to do that we're going to break it right down, go right back to the basics, and we're going to do a basic custard recipe. Now, what can I say about custard? Look, if you go to your shops these days, to your bakery, what will happen is you buy a custard tart on the shelf. It's basically a powder that they buy and they just boil up water and throw the powder into it. It's already got acid stabilizers, it's got pre-gelatinated starches, it's got all sorts of rubbish in there that you would not feed to your worst enemy. Anyway, so what we're doing today is we're doing a basic custard, but we're going to be using real milk, real eggs, real sugar. No pre-gelatinated starches. We will be using a cornstarch. If you go to buy custard powder at your local supermarket, all you're buying is literally you're buying corn flour, you're buying yellow colour, and you're buying vanilla essence. That's all you're buying. That's all that's in custard powder. It's 3 ingredients, literally. Okay, so what we're going to do, we've got our milk. I'm going to flash a recipe up on the screen, so there's not much need to talk about that. I've got some custard tarts I've made over here. I've made them in a muffin tray. They're fairly rustic looking, so that doesn't matter because it's all homemade stuff. And that's why I'm going to try and keep it simple for you guys, okay? All right. So first thing, you want your liquid in, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put our corn flour and our sugar in a bowl. I normally do liquid first, but today I'm going to do dry powder first, folks. And then you're just going to whisk the sugar and the corn flour together. And what that will do is it will, once you put your eggs with it, it will not give you any lumps, basically. We don't want lumps in our custard tarts, so yeah, corn flour, unless you break the corn flour up with the sugar, you'll end up with lumps everywhere, so we don't want that. So we'll just go grab our eggs out of the fridge, eh? Okay, so the other thing I have to talk to you about is vanilla essence. So what sort of vanilla should you use? Well, number one, you shouldn't be using an essence, you should be using an extract. There's a big difference between the two. Generally with vanilla, you get what you pay for, okay, so yeah. I think I've got a couple of different types of vanilla here, but they're all much along the same sort of lines. So you're going to throw your eggs in. Okay, just wash the hands. Okay, what am I using? I'm using a vanilla extract here today. Give it a good shake. And there's no rule to how much you should or should not use, but I want that vanilla taste to come right through. Okay, the other thing I'm going to use here today is a little tiny bit of yellow colour. And when I say a tiny bit, folks, I'm talking about only a couple of drops, literally. Like the egg yolks that you use will give you a bit of yellow colour, but you just want to enhance that a little. If you were to read the ingredient label on this, it would stun you, okay? So, we're just, like I said, we're just going to always pour it into the cap. 1, 2, there we go. That's it. Okay, you can already tell that's going to be like a bright yellow, that one. Okay, but that's okay. Okay, so what we've got in here, we've got our corn flour, we've got our sugar, we've got our eggs, and we've got our vanilla essence and yellow colour. Okay, so that's 4 ingredients there, or whatever amount of ingredients in that one bowl. In this one we've got our milk and a little touch of water. What I find the water does is it actually adds a shine to your custard at the end of it. So if you're just using straight milk and you find a little bit on the matte colour, or it's got like a bit of an orange peel, what you normally associate with car paint, if it's got that sort of ripply look, just add a little bit of water and it'll make it shine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to boil our milk, and I'll be back in a minute, okay? Okay, we're back. Okay, now the milk is just about to be boiled. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add our egg corn flour mixture to the boiled milk once it starts to rise up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to whisk it and continue to cook out the starch in it, okay? That's very important. That theory works with any sort of cooking, whether it be savoury or sweet. You need to break those starch cells open. You need to cook them out and make sure that, otherwise you'll end up with that starchy taste. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to wait for our milk to rise. Now, the other thing, like these are, I'm going to do these fairly plain today. Now, what else could you do to these? You could layer this is the pastry chef coming out. You could put a layer of Genoa in the bottom of it. You could lace that with some Frangelico or triple sec or, you know, Cointreau, if you will, you know, and jazz them up that way. You could use blueberries down the bottom. You could literally do anything. You're only limited by your imagination, folks. But today we're just going to do some plain custard tarts, good old Aussie classic. All right, and this is just about ready, I'd say. It's almost going to come to the boil. Now, when we go to fill these, what we'll do is we'll fill them up till they're level. We'll allow the custard to take a skin on it, okay? Now, this is the theory. You allow the custard to skin up, then you top it up, and that way you'll end up with a really nice dome-shaped custard tart. That's how you get that effect. Okay, but we'll go into that in a little bit. I'll just grab my jug that I'm going to pour all this into. Like I said, your tartlets don't have to be perfect. I made mine in, muffin tray today. Doesn't matter. Look up my recipe for sweet pastry. That's all I use, so nothing special there. Here we go. I can see some bubbles starting to happen. You can see this stuff starting to rise. Get your mix, and we're going to add that just like so. Right. And we're going to scrape that out, make sure it's all the way through. So this way we're going to cook out all our eggs and all our starches, and you would be stunned at how superior the flavour of this is compared to, say, something that's just water and oh no, well, I don't even know what they call it, you know, just rubbish that they throw into packets these days. But a lot of people seem to like that sort of stuff. But anyway, this is starting to thicken up beautifully. Oh, that's gorgeous. And I can see it already bubbling, so that's the sign that you need to take it off the stove, okay? It's bubbling, it's bubbling. You want to keep it moving during this time. Just take the heat right out of it, and then we're going to pour it into our jug. We're going to get that straight into these tart shells over here. Might bring them a little bit closer. Yeah, there we go. Make sure I move that out of the way so that we can see that. So we've got a couple of nice big ones here. There we go. There we go. Pouring, pouring, pouring. Now this is actually quite a thick recipe, so there we go. It's setting beautifully. There we go. Right, now once you've got to the end of it, you can usually go back to the start of it, and it's already skinned up, I can tell. And just keep jamming it in there. There we go. And you will love the vanilla smell off of this. The vanilla, I can tell you right now, It's really coming through. It's beautiful. Oops. Just be careful. We don't want to overfill these, but we do want them domed up top. There we go. Oh, gorgeous, folks. Yeah, that is a custard recipe to die for. Okay, now we're just going to finish these off with a little shake of nutmeg, and that'll do them. Okay, we've got the nutmeg. We're just going to, I don't know why traditionally in Australia we've used nutmeg on these things, but you know what? It works. So we're going to go with what works, okay? There we go. Little shake of nutmeg. We've got ourselves a nice big tray of custard tarts. Look at that, eh? Aussie classic. Alright folks, that was a quick episode. Alright, hit the like button, do what you want. I'll see you next time, eh? Bye.